Good morning, traders. Today is day 84 of small cap market open test trading, and the screener looks pretty different today than it did yesterday. I'll show you that in just a moment, but let's see if we find anything that meets our criteria. So VERU is the number one traded stock right now, and it's obviously trading above the 200 MA. So let's put some lines on the chart here. All right, so the pre-market high was right at the end of the pre-market, and that's 1136. Just check the 1 minute chart here. Okay, so it's already made its first high of day after breaking through that level. So mark that level out, and then we need to see a second high of day established before we could consider taking a trade. So we'll just throw out the white line arbitrarily and wait for that to happen. Obviously this thing is selling off right now, so who knows if that's going to happen or not. We'll go back to the screener, take a look, see what else is trading. MARA. Still below the 200 MA. I'll show you the screener in just a moment, but for now let me just go through and see what we got right. Obviously below the 200 MA. SPCE is next. I know that one's below the 200 MA. And then IONQ, also below the 200 MA. DADA, also below the 200 MA. So that's going to be the norm. I'm just going to change the scale here so I can see what's going on. MTTR, but it's amazing how many more stocks are even just meeting our screener criteria as compared to previous days this week. DVAX, same thing there. Quadruple U. BYND, I believe that one is below. VTNR is close to meeting our criteria, so I'm going to go ahead and look at it just to see if we can reject it. No, we can't. So I'm going to mark out the previous session high. Let's look at it on the 1 minute chart and see what else it's done. So this one is actually getting ready to trigger a trade. So we're gonna go with this and pull it up on the single chart, VTNR. Now the one thing that has to happen is before this thing triggers a trade, it has to get up a little bit higher here because it hasn't met the 5% criteria yet. So I got to be careful here. Don't want to take a trade that doesn't meet the criteria, because if I get in right now, it's below 5%. So I need to pull up the multi-chart page again because I can't really commit to this stock yet. All right. Now we should be all right. Actually, no. VTNR, let's see, it still didn't reach the 5% threshold. The only way it will is if this candle makes another new high. Which doesn't look likely to happen, but it could. There's still 30 seconds left. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Live trading. Trying to remember if we checked DADA. Yeah, we did. PACB. So this is the problem with this stock right here, is that it's getting ready to trigger our setup, but it never met the 5% threshold. So even if it goes up over the top of this candle and triggers us, which is 1245, don't think it's going to meet that 5%. It's at 4.29 at 1241. Just to get rid of that CUK. So at this point, if this thing hits 1243, it would trigger a trade, except it's not over 5%. So basically cannot trade VTNR because it's already creating our setup without meeting our screener criteria. So yeah, there we go. And then I'm just looking at it on the screener to see. Yes, it didn't register that 1244. At 1242, it's only at 4.37%. So no way. And our previous entry, if it would have reached over the top of this candle, would have been 1245. That's So that one we just simply can't trade, doesn't meet all of our criteria. So we're gonna have to just reject this stock altogether and get rid of it off of the chart page. So I'm gonna put VERU in its place. The only way we're gonna know if this plan and this strategy actually works is if we just trade it by the book. So I can't bend any rules. I can't say, well, it was close to 5%. That's where we have drawn our line. And usually it's not very hard to find stuff over 5% to trade. It's just the way things have been lately. Just going through the list again. I haven't had a chance to show you the screener. Maybe I will in a moment. I think we checked MTTR. Let me just double check. Yeah. INMD. Nope. All right, so looks like we're all caught up with the screener at this point. So the only thing right now is VERU, which is pretty crazy because when you look at the screener, it looks really active, really green. So let me show you the screener right now. But it's just the way the market has been this past year. Everything has been kind of in a sell-off state. So right now everything is in a downtrend, and we don't trade reversals because the chances of those working out are much lower than trading something that goes with the trend. So so this is what I'm looking at. You can see all of this green here. I think we've gone through every single stock on this list. We didn't pull up SPCE, but I know that one's well below the 200 MA. There's VTNR. So you can see here it's below that 5% threshold. So I would be breaking my plan if I took a trade. And the reason why that 5% threshold exists is because we are making an assumption there that if a stock has a percent change of more than 5%, that's going to inspire more buying into the stock and make it more likely to go up. So that's why that threshold exists. And if we trade something outside of that, then we're screwing up all of our statistical data because every stock on my spreadsheet is based on that 5% or more percent change. Sumo, I don't think we looked at that one, so let's go back to the chart page. A lot more activity in the market today than there was the rest of the week, that's for sure. So that's a good sign. All right, so looks like we're all caught up for the moment. I'm going to mute for now. I'll put the screener back on, and we'll be back as soon as there's something interesting. All right, there's something called Yext, Y-E-X-T, that we need to take a look at. I probably need to refresh that screen, or you're probably not seeing it there. All right, does not meet the requirements on the daily chart, so we have to ignore that. Let's go back to the screener. There it is right there, YEXT. So you can see it meets our screener criteria, but did not meet our daily chart criteria. And the lowest stock that I can see on my laptop is RDFN, and I always talk about that. One of my rules is I can only trade stocks that are on the first page of my screener. That way I know I'm trading the highest stocks or highest volume stocks within that sector, the small cap market. So anyway, this is where we're at right now. We're just sitting here waiting for a stock to pop up that actually meets our daily chart criteria, because it's one thing to meet the screener criteria, but it must also meet the daily chart criteria. Otherwise, we can't take a trade. So that's where we are. And VERU is still way away from triggering a trade here. So has to be at least over 1172 before we need to pay attention to it. And right now it's at 1081, so about 90 cents to go if it keeps going up. So we'll just keep the screener up. We're going to mute, and we'll be back if there's something interesting. Let me just refresh it. All right, time for a 10 o'clock update. Nothing has changed. And I just want to say one thing about the way the screener looks with all this green, and there's nothing to trade. It just seems kind of weird, especially if you're new. But this is just part of what's been going on in 2022. Before that, when you would see a screener like this with a lot of green and a lot of things meeting the screener criteria, they would also meet the daily chart criteria, and that chart page where I have 9 charts up would be filled, and sometimes there would be more stocks that wouldn't even fit on the page. So it's just a very interesting year, and it is a product of what's going on in the market combined with the criteria for my plan, and it's all by design because the plan is designed to keep you out of markets that have low probabilities of giving good trades. So it is what it is, and that's why we just have to kind of wait it out and sit by the sidelines. And once things meet our criteria fully, then theoretically the market should be in a better condition to take trades that will give us a profitable trade, I guess. So anyway, that's just what's going on right now. That's the story. So we've got the screener up here, and nothing. I don't think anything has really changed since we last looked at it. Just going down the list here. I'm looking at the names now because there's so many that meet the criteria. I'm just seeing if there's any names up here that weren't here before, and so far it looks all the same. BCRX, I believe, is below the first page of the screen on my laptop. I'm just going to refresh that one. Yeah, RDFN is the lowest stock, so I can't look at anything down here because the volume isn't high enough relative to the other stocks volumes. So anyway, that's where we are, and we'll be back as soon as something interesting pops up. So stick around. Oh, I just realized I made a huge mistake here. We're getting triggered. Oh, I still have a chance. We're getting triggered as of right now. The entry was 1241. Whoops, that was bad. Man, I just made a big mess there. Well, we're in the trade now. It is what it is. I thought I was gonna catch it there, but so let's see what happened here. 1218 is the low. I need to get my stop loss in place. Let me get some of these lines out of the way. We'll talk about everything that just went wrong there and why and all of that in just a minute. Let me just deal with what's going on here. So 1313 is our profit target. It's actually come very close to that already. And I'll explain. So we would have already hit to our target if I would have done this correctly. The question is, will it hit 3R as well? But I'll explain all of that. Let me just kind of see where my entry should have been at 1241. So I got in 8 cents higher. All right, there we go. So we just finished that trade up. Man, that was so quick. And now all we have to do is watch for 3R, and I can sit here and explain exactly what happened. But that error was completely my fault, but it is going to go in our statistics as a winning trade because it would have won even if we would have done the ideal thing. So let me mark out some lines here where we should have gotten in. So the high of this candle is 1240, and we wanted to get in at 1241. Let me just put that line at 1241. And our stop loss would have been the low of the previous candle, which would have been this one here, 1216. Did this one, so we would not have been stopped out, even though that seems like a really tight stop loss. This would have been trading it by the book perfectly, and then I was allowed to get in when I tried to get back in, but I just totally botched the entry, and I'll explain what happened there as well. So let's see here. Let me just put this line where it belongs. So that is that second high of day after the previous high, and then the pullback is on a green candle, which can happen. All that has to happen for a pullback is for this candle to be lower than the previous one when it's done trading. Now what we need to do is figure out, did the 3R profit target get hit? And I need to put out the 3R profit target for our real entry also for our statistics. So we're going to switch that to 1345. It's gotten very close so far. And we're going to have a bunch of green lines on here, so it's going to be confusing, but at least I have it on video so I could watch it back to see what happens. So 1345 will be the 3R profit target for our real entry that we took, and we'll see if that gets hit or not. But the 3R profit target for our ideal entry definitely would have been hit, because that would have been 1241, and the stop loss would have been 1216. 1316, that would have been our profit target had I gotten in the right place. So obviously this was a successful trade. It will go down as a one and done as well for the strategy, and I'm going to make a separate video this morning going over all of the statistics so far, because we've added a trade, so now we're 91 out of 100 trades into this thing, which is good. But what happened there was basically, since it's another slow day, I caught myself checking emails, doing other things, which is a really bad habit to get into, especially I'm using this as an excuse, but it's not a good excuse. I'm not trading with full position size. We have gone through the past 4 days with no trades, so it's tempting to lose your focus and go do something else while the trade day is happening. And as soon as I checked the screener again, I saw that VERU had popped up and was meeting our criteria to get an entry. So I opened up the chart page. You can scroll back in the video if you want to see how all of that played out. Opened up the chart page and noticed that that we had been triggered for an entry right here. The price was back down below that entry, so I was looking at this candle and saying, okay, 1241 was where I was supposed to get in. We're at 1240 right now, so I have a chance to get in, and I was waiting for 1241 to pop back up. By the time I got on my hotkeys and looked up, it was at 1250, I believe, so I had to get in, and got filled at 1249, which is huge slippage, and that's all my fault. That's not anything to do with the platform or anything like that. That was definitely trader error, and luckily the trade still worked out, at least as far as 2R goes. We're waiting to see if 3R gets hit based off of our real entry. So either way, this trade may not, if it doesn't hit that 3R profit target before stopping out, it may kind of screw up our statistics a little bit. But again, I mean, something like this could still happen when I'm trading with full position size, so it needs to be recorded exactly as it happened with that 1249 entry. I can't put the what if entry, what if I was doing what I was supposed to, because that's all part of the statistics. What happens when you factor in human error into the trading plan and the trading system. So I'm going to have to just put some notes in the spreadsheet, explaining what happened. And that's pretty much it. So that's it for today. We're all done. At least we finally got to take a trade this week, and the trade won, kind of. It hit our 2R profit target, but we needed to hit the 3R as well. And again, this is the 3R of our ideal entry, and this is the 3R of our actual entry with all that stuff that I just talked about. So hopefully this video is helpful to you. As always, go into every single trade with a plan. Stick to that plan no matter what. Always take your stop losses, honor your profit target, and in the long run, you should be green. Take care.